Hi guys, welcome to Coturnix Corner. So in this video, I want to talk a little bit about using a hatcher when you are incubating your eggs. What I did was I called up Ryan over at Hatching Time and explained to him that I'm trying to increase my numbers a little bit each year by hatching out, a few more eggs, and what he thought would be the most sensible approach to it. And he recommended that I start out with a hatcher only unit that they have. The one that I got was the HB350-H. I ordered that from Hatching Time. They shipped it out actually right away. I think it took 3 or 4 days to get here. It came via FedEx, and it was a palletized load. It was all strapped down real nice and shrink wrapped, which I already took off of this. But I thought I'd go through real quick and talk to you guys a little bit about some of the benefits of it. We'll do an unboxing video of the hatcher, go over some of the features, and put it through its paces. I'm going to run a few tests on it and see how it works, see how it holds temperature, and see if I can actually increase my production this year by using this hatcher. For those of you who know me, you know that I use most of my commercial incubators for hatching eggs. I do have a CT60 incubator that I got from Hatching Time, and I've also got a couple Barato units, and all those commercial incubators do is incubate eggs. And I've been hatching my eggs out in my DIY box, the incubator that we build here on the channel. And the reason for that is I like to keep my commercial incubators clean. So by just incubating the eggs in them and then taking them out and letting them hatch inside the DIY box, I've only got one box that I need to go through and do a really thorough cleaning on after every hatch. Okay, so again, the hatcher was packaged very nicely. Had styrofoam corners protecting the corners of the cabinet. Some of the stuff was placed on top of the box, like the ultrasonic humidifier. It's a Unisonic, and I'm sure they've got some stuff packaged inside here. Yes, they obviously they do. We've got the water reservoir for humidity, which sits on top of the box, and then it looks like here we've got all the hatching baskets that come in the unit. And if I'm not mistaken, I think there's 10 hatching baskets total. There's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, yeah. So 10 hatching baskets. Okay, and this here is really what I wanted to see inside the box. I was very curious what they used as a heating source and a heat distribution system. It's very similar, if not exactly similar, to what they use in the CT series of incubators. Looks like it may be a little bit bigger. I'm not 100% sure. Looks like they got some vents on the back. They've also got a water tray similar to what they use in the incubators. I did want to mention too that this series, the HB series, comes in 3 different models. You've got the HB350, which is the size H, which is a hatcher, and then they've got the HB350S, which is a setter. It's got the turner racks in it, so you can set your eggs in there. That would be your incubator. And then they've got the HB350C, which is the combo, and that's a combination of setter and hatcher. So you can incubate eggs on the top, and then you can put your hatching trays on the bottom to hatch them out. So what I want to do, I want to go through and I want to run some tests. I'm going to plug it in and I'm going to bring this thing up to temperature. It looks like to me it's got the exact same regulator mounted on top of the box where you can control your humidity and your temperature. It's also got pretty much the same setup as far as the humidifier, and this is the same humidifier that they use in the incubator series. But I did download a blurb real quick that I want to go over real quick. This is off of their website, and this is talking about the HB series of incubators. The technology inside the ventilation is an air route, is what they're calling it. It is trademark. It says the air route trademark ventilation system is IP55 certified and uses minimal energy. The system protects you from voltage changes and offers a first-in-class protection from dust and humidity. You can rest assured that your system will maintain the same temperature and humidity throughout the entire cabinet. That's really nice to know. And next is another trademark device called the Humisonic, which is this device here for providing humidity inside the box. It reads, HB incubators always keep the internal temperature and humidity to your set parameters. Our Humisonic system provides humidity to the incubator when necessary. Just add water to the tank up top. Also, don't forget to fill your bottom pan with water for additional support as needed. The regulator has two different alarm systems on it. One is a high and low temperature alarm, which includes a room sensor and also a high or low humidity alarm, and that also has a room sensor on it. Another thing they say is these cabinets have front and back access, which I think is really nice. You've got a door on the front of the incubator. You've also got a door on the back of the box or the cabinet, and it really makes cleaning a breeze when you've got to get in there. And when after you're done cleaning, you go to air it out. You open both doors, point a fan in there, and it just blows right through and dries everything out real nice. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and get this thing plugged in, get it fired up, let it run for a while, bring it up to temperature. I've got some hygrometer thermometers over there. I'm going to set 2 or 3 in here in different locations. I just want to verify that the temperature is the same and the humidity the same throughout the cabinet. And then we'll go through. I actually have some eggs that are due to go into lockdown today. So what we're going to do, we're actually going to set a tray of eggs in there. We're going to go ahead and hatch them, and then we'll come back in a couple days and see how well that worked out. There were a few other technical specs on this. I'll just go over them real quick. The model, this one is the HB350-H. They do have a lot larger models. I think this is one of the smaller ones. The material, insulated walls are ABS plastic. The entire frame is anodized aluminum, and it runs off 110 volt, 60 hertz voltage, which is your standard wall outlet, or at least here in the States. The average energy consumption is 85 watts. So that is almost half of what my DIY cabinet incubator uses with the two 75 watt halogens in it. And the max voltage is 270 watt consumption. So, okay, let's go ahead. They also included a manual, basically just shows you all the different series that they've got. Tells you how to set up the humidity and the controller, all the settings for the regulator. Very handy. I'm pretty sure this is going to be all about the same as the incubator series, the CT incubator series, but I will go through and read up on it later on. I do want to say that 10 hatching basket, guys, that's a lot of hatching baskets. They're saying that each hatching basket will hold 99 quail eggs. I'm not sure on the number of chicken eggs. I think I read somewhere where it said 350 chicken eggs total, but with 10 baskets and 99 eggs per basket, that's almost 1,000 eggs that I can hatch out at a time. Another nice thing about having all these different baskets, I used to use nylon mesh bags to separate my different color varieties and incubate them. Now with all these baskets, I can just put each color variety in each basket, or if I do a staggered hatch, couple 2 or 3 days difference, I can have different days in different baskets. So that's going to work out really nice. So anyhow, let me go ahead. I'm going to get this thing plugged in, bring it up to temperature, and then we'll place some thermometers / hygrometers in there just to make sure that we've got consistent temperature and humidity throughout the box. And like I said, we're going to go ahead and pull some eggs out of the incubator, and I'll probably candle them real quick, and we'll throw them in the box here and let them go ahead and hatch out. Okay, so I got the unit plugged in. Real quick, I just wanted to mention that I looked through the manual, and the settings on this regulator are the same settings that you would use in the CT series of incubators. So what I did was I went in and I changed the temperature. I think it was set at 99.8. I changed it to 99.5, and I also changed the humidity from, I think it was set at 50, and I changed that. I bumped it up to 60. And basically, to make the changes, you just push and hold it. There's on the left hand side, there's 4 buttons. On the left hand side, there's a T over an H, and then on the right hand side there is an up and down arrows. And if I'm not mistaken, the bottom one, yeah, is a light. The bottom arrow is a light inside the cabinet. So that's really handy. But to go ahead and make the changes, basically all you got to do, if you want to change the temperature, just press and hold the T, and the current setting will pop up and be flashing, and then using the up down arrows, just change that to whatever value you want to incubate at, and then press the temperature button again to save it. And same with the humidity. Press and hold the H, and when you see it flashing, change that to whatever value you want. Like I say, I like it about 60% for lockdown for my quail eggs. So we'll go ahead and set that. We'll press the H to lock it in, and now we're going to wait for the box to come up to temperature. I'm going to see how long it takes. Right now it's already up to, it started at 80 degrees. It's only been on for a couple minutes, and it's already up to 86. So I'm going to let this run for a little while. I'll let you know exactly how long it did take to get it up to 99.5 and get stabilized, and then we'll throw the thermometers in there inside a couple of the baskets and just run a couple tests that way. Okay, so the unit's been plugged in for about 10 minutes now, and I am already up to temperature 99. It's showing 99.8, but it's kind of going up and down a little bit. And the humidity is up to 60%. I also installed the humidity pump setup, and it's real simple. Basically, you've got a water reservoir that sits on top of the cabinet, which has a hose that feeds down to another reservoir on the side of the cabinet, and inside that reservoir there's a float which determines the water level inside the reservoir. There's also a humidifier, I guess it's like a vaporizer, which makes vapor, which is drawn into the incubator through a cone and is circulated throughout the incubator via the fan inside. And the only thing that plugs in is the humidifier itself, or the vaporizer itself, and that plugs right into the side of your regulator here on top of the box. Another thing I did was I got some of these Accurite and ThermPro thermometers. I placed one on top of the box so I could get an idea of what the humidity was in the room here versus what the humidity is showing inside the box. I've got 60% humidity in the box and about 45% humidity in the room. Now, I do not have any other water inside the box. I did not add any water to the tray. The only thing that is bringing the humidity up is the humidity pump itself. So we know that that pump will bring it up all by itself. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add some water to the tray that sits in the bottom of the cabinet, and that should relieve some of the work that the humidifier has to do to keep the humidity in the 60% range. I'm not sure how accurate all these thermometers are. I'm just trying to get a basic ballpark. I put them in there the same time I plugged the cabinet in, so it's probably taking them a little bit of time to come up to temperature, because I know even though the cabinet's showing 99.5 degrees, these housings on these thermometers, until that plastic is actually brought up to temperature, you're not going to get a real accurate reading. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of water to the tray on the bottom, just to see how much of a difference that makes with the humidity pump turning on and off. And I'm also going to get a reading of all the thermometers that are inside the cabinet. Like I say, I've got 3 different levels, and then I've got one at the back side of the cabinet. I just want to make sure that they're all within you know, a degree or two of each other, and within 1% of each other as far as the humidity is concerned. And after that, I'm going to go ahead and grab some eggs out of the incubator. They're due to go into lockdown today. We'll get them candled and put into the hatching basket and go ahead and do a test hatch with the hatcher. Okay, so we'll go ahead and check the temperature real quick and see what the different thermometers are reading. Like I said, we've got one up top, one in the middle, one on the bottom, and then one on the back side of the cabinet. I don't know how long I can leave the door open, and I don't know how well you're going to be able to see it from here, but I'll try to read off the numbers as we go. Okay, so we've got a top one here, 99.5, showing 62% humidity. The back one is 99.7, showing 58%. The one down here is 98.8, 63%. And the one down on the bottom is 98.8 at 58%. So I believe we've got a pretty good consistent temperature and humidity throughout the box according to the thermometers that I'm using. There was a little bit of difference between the ThermPros and the Govies, but that's to be expected. I never was a really big fan of the Govie thermometers. There's just too much variation in readings. But I thought I'd go ahead. I candled some eggs. I want to go ahead and get them set. What I use in the hatching trays, I always line them with a drawer liner material. It just helps the chicks get a little bit better footing when they hatch out. So I've got like 60 eggs here, I believe. We'll go ahead and get them transferred into the hatching trays, and then we'll put them in the incubator, and we'll come back in a couple days and see what kind of results we had. But I do want to say that from what I can see on this unit, I'm pretty impressed with it. I use the hatching time incubators. Like I say, I've got the CT60. It has been pretty much a plug and play cabinet incubator. What I'll do is I'll get in there and I'll set the temperature, I'll set the humidity, and it's pretty much set it and forget it until you're ready to go into lockdown. So if this hatcher is anything close to the CT60s, we're not going to have any issues. Now they say that these hatching trays will hold 99 quail eggs. I'm not sure what the numbers are on larger eggs, the chickens, ducks, and geese. All that stuff is listed on their website and again in the spec sheets. So if you're interested in hatching something else other than quail, you can check out those numbers. And the nice thing about this, having so many different hatching trays, is, you know, you can set quail eggs, you can set chicken eggs, you can set duck eggs, geese eggs, whatever, and keep them separated. I like it because this is a mixed batch of eggs, but when I set these eggs, I didn't mark them as to what color they are, so I really wasn't able to separate them. But from here on out, whenever I set eggs now, I'm going to make sure that they're marked, because I have the hatching baskets, or I have enough hatching baskets that I can separate all the eggs by color. Okay, so we've got all the eggs put in the hatching baskets, and all I need to do is put the tops on them. I really like these tops. They are a lot heavier. These baskets are a lot heavier than like what came in the CT60. So I think these are going to be really nice. Tops fit on great. I also put a label on here so I know the date that these eggs went into lockdown. So we'll go ahead and slide these into the cabinet. Okay, so we have all the eggs placed into the hatching baskets and the hatching baskets placed into the cabinet. We're going to go ahead and leave those eggs in lockdown for the next 3, maybe 4 days, and then we'll come back here and see what kind of a hatch rate we got. I am going to leave this cabinet incubator sitting right here in the middle of my living room. It's kind of a controlled temperature and humidity environment just to see how well it does, and then I'll probably take it out into my incubator room where that will be its permanent home. So we'll come back here in a couple days, guys. We'll see what kind of a hatch rate we got, and we'll go over some of the pros and cons of this unit. Okay, so the eggs have been in lockdown now for 3 days. We are on day 17 and a half, and I'm already hearing chicks inside the hatcher peeping and whatnot, so I know that they're starting to hatch out. We're gonna go ahead and, for the sake of this video, I'm gonna pull the hatching tray out just to see what kind of a hatch we've got so far. I'll probably end up putting them back in, letting them go another day before I pull the plug on it. But I do want to say that for the past 3 days, I have been monitoring the temperatures inside the cabinet. We've been within probably a half a degree from the middle of the hatcher up to the top, and then all the way again down to the bottom. The humidity has stayed right on par the entire time. We've got the regulator set at 60% humidity, and all 4 of our hygrometers inside are reading 59, 60% the entire time. So we've got a good reading there. So let me go ahead, I'll jump in, I'll pull the chicks out, see what we got, and then we're going to go over talking about some of the pros and cons of this unit. Okay, I don't know how well you can see this. Oh yeah. Really good hatch rate. Looks like we've got quite a few blacks, which is something I'm very pleased to see. I do have some eggs in there that looks like they haven't quite hatched out yet, so we're going to go ahead and put these guys back in here. And then I will talk a little bit more about the cabinet itself. So I'm very pleased so far with the hatch. Like I say, we're on about day 17 and a half, and it looks like probably the bulk of the eggs have hatched out yet. So another thing you could see, this humidifier, I don't know if you could tell how much water's in it. There's still about this much water in the reservoir tank on the top of the unit. I did add some water to the humidity tray in the bottom of the incubator. That seemed to help quite a bit as far as taking some of the load off of the vaporizer. Like I say, you still see that there's water in there. So the humidifier has really worked out great. Let's go ahead and talk about some of the pros and cons of this unit. The pros, we'll start with them first. I want to say that the temperatures are accurate, and the humidity readings from the regulator itself matched what I was getting inside the cabinet with the 4 different hygrometers and thermometers that are in there. There was very little temperature variation, like I say, probably a half to maybe 3/4 of a degree between the middle of the hatcher up to the top, and then again all the way down on the bottom of the hatcher. And that's probably one of the biggest things that I look for when I'm setting up an incubator, whether it's a cabinet model, tabletop model. I want to make sure that there's no warm and cold spots. And so this hatcher seems to have the hatching time quality as far as being able to hold and keep a consistent temperature throughout. The humidity system, this vaporizer system is probably one of the best humidity systems that I've seen. I have other units that have a pump humidity system on it, which basically it's got a hygrometer and a sensor inside the cabinet or inside the incubator, and it reads what the humidity levels is, and if it's low, it pumps water into the humidity or into the incubator to bring the humidity up. The only thing I found with that is it pumps water in until the humidity is at the level that you set. But the humidity seems to keep wanting to rise up a little bit past that point. So with this system, it's got a vaporizer unit on the side. I'll show you a little bit close up of that here in a second. But whatever you've got the humidity set at on the regulator, it turns on that vaporizer. It vaporizes the amount of water needed, or the amount of vapor needed, to bring the cabinet up to the setting that you have programmed in on the regulator. And I haven't seen it yet go up past 60% humidity on the regulator itself. So it's staying right there. Right now we're at 56% humidity, and I can see on the side that the vaporizer has already turned off. So it must have some type of a calibration to where it gets to a certain point, shuts the vaporizer off. Any residual vapors that get drawn into the cabinet brings it up to the desired level. So like I say, I have watched that the entire past 3 days, and the humidity has been spot on. Another thing I like is the easy access. You have, like I say, 2 doors, one on the front and the back. That just makes it so much easier, especially with the design of the racks for the hatching trays in this. You have a forward hatching tray, and then you have one that sits directly behind it on the back side. So if you want to access a hatching tray on the back side of the cabinet without disturbing the ones in the front, you can always open that back door and access it from that way. So that works out really nice. Also, by having both of these doors, it's so much easier to clean. You can get in both sides of the incubator, clean it out, air it out, whatever you need to do. It's easy to access with them doors. The hatching baskets. I really like the hatching baskets because they're deep. They're probably a good 5 inches deep, I would say. I don't want to open it up again just to get an exact measurement, but they're deep enough to where when you pull the lids off them, the chicks can't jump out of them. I know on some of my other incubators, the hatching trays are a little bit shallower, probably closer to 3 inches, maybe even 2.5 inches. And when you take the lid off, you need to have that hatching tray inside the brooder, or you're going to have chicks jumping all over the place. So the depth of the hatching trays on this is another big plus. Also, the size of the hatching trays. To be able to fit 99 eggs in each one of these hatching trays. Now, I think they got that number for standard size quail eggs, probably around 13, 14 gram eggs. Anything bigger than that, like your jumbo size eggs, probably you're not going to get 90 in there. I think I put like 60 in, and it was pretty crowded, but still 60 eggs times 10, that's 600 eggs that I can hatch out at one time in this. Let's see what else we got. Casters. We have casters on the bottom of the cabinet. Makes it real easy to move around from location to location. And probably the last thing I want to say as far as the pros goes is I have noticed this is the same quality as my Hatching Time or Chimuka incubator, the CT60. It's basically the same setup, a little bit larger cabinet, a little bit different design, but how everything works is the same. The distribution of the air, the humidity, keeps everything inside the cabinet the same temperature and humidity levels that you set throughout the cabinet, so that's good. It's basically a set it and forget it type of cabinet incubator. Now for the cons, I really sat and tried to pick out stuff that I didn't like about this cabinet incubator, and to be honest with you guys, I had a hard time. The only thing that I came up with that I would change if I was to design this box is the size of the viewing windows on the front of the box. That's the only thing. These are looks like about little 4-inch round circles. They're also kind of a fisheye type lens, so when you look through, you get a little bit of a distorted view looking through it. If I could redesign this door on this cabinet, I would put a little bit larger window. That way you could see what all the hatching trays are doing versus just the one at the top or the one way down towards the bottom. So again, that's not a deal breaker for me. A lot of times I don't even look in the cabinet. Usually my wife ends up telling me when she hears birds chirping inside the cabinets and let me know, okay, the birds have started to hatch, so I go from there. I will leave a link in the description to the Hatching Time website where you can look at this incubator or this hatcher. Like I said earlier in the video, these do come in 3 different models. You've got the H model, which is the hatcher. You've got the S model, which is the setter. That's for incubating eggs. It's got the turner racks in it. And then they've got the C model, which is a combination of both. You've got turners on the top part for incubating, and then hatching baskets or hatching rails on the bottom for hatching out eggs. Like I say, I will leave a link in the description. You can check them out. I'm Again, extremely pleased with this cabinet. I know this size cabinet isn't going to be for everyone. I know there's a lot of, you know, hobbyists out there that just don't incubate the number of eggs, but in my situation, and I'm only keeping, you know, 300 to maybe 400 laying hens at a time, for me to be able to free up an extra incubator and just use this as a hatcher and have 3 different incubators that are doing nothing but incubating, it's really going to up my production and just make things a little bit easier on me, because now I've only got 1 box that I really need to, you know, worry about doing a deep cleaning on after every use. So again, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do so. It helps me out. You can get notified of any new and upcoming videos. I want to say thanks again, and we'll see you on the next one.